So, you want to join the Salamangreat community. You want to be above the best. Have you even ever normal summoned Salamangreat Gazelle? Sunlight Wolf? Spinny? Well, none of that really doesn't matter. Welcome to the Salamangreat community. What's going on with y'all, big dog? And it is an amazing Saturday. I hope your Saturday is going perfecto. And if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Speaking of days, yesterday I did talk about how Salamangreat could be a top meta deck. There are going to be some things that have to go in line for it, but regardless, I think if you're a player coming from Master Duel and want to learn a combo-centric / control deck, then Salamangreat is a great choice to be able to play. Today, we're going to be navigating through some of the top tier obstacles. We know that Phantom Knights is going to be one of the most feared decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! How exactly will we be able to counter that? There's also the Brave Token Engine, Prank Kids, and so many other strategies. Well, today, I'm going to be giving you a Salamangreat deck geared for this format. So without further ado, let's jump on in. So unfortunately, unlike some of the other decks in the meta, Salamangreat is not guaranteed a top spot. This is for the players that want to be 10 toes down with Salamangreat, as this deck is going to have to grind for every single win. What I love about Salamangreat is that this deck is fairly easy to learn, malleable to just about any given format, and has plays that are extremely hard to master. I think that it is amazing for a beginner player hopping into Salamangreat because it is fairly cheap, and then as you go, you get to learn so many cool nuances that will help you on your game. Also, the most expensive cards for Salamangreat aren't Salamangreat cards, so even if you can't afford these cards right now, when you do get them, they'll transfer over to other strategies. Starting off with the monsters, I normally run 5 starters in any given deck, but in this particular deck, I run 4, and it's for good reason. The main starter is 3 copies of Flame Buffalo. This card is actually ridiculous in here, and the reason why is because after you link it off, you can discard one of your 8 Cybers monsters from your hand to the graveyard, draw 2 cards, and those 8 Cybers monsters have an additional effect to allow you to continue to play forward. In this particular build, I prioritize being able to draw into my blowout cards as opposed to searching a particular monster from my deck to my hand, and it really does pay off, especially when going first and setting up a board. But that doesn't mean I don't play 1 copy of Lady Debug, because I do understand she is a very valuable card. Not only is she a level 4 monster that can help me make rank 4s, which are pretty good inside of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game, she also allows you to go into a 1-card access code talker, OTK. I realize that Lady Debug is extremely important when you go into the later portions of the game, because sometimes you do need that particular Cybers monster from your deck to your hand, and she is 100% there to provide that. Moving forward, for our Salamangreat monsters, the level 3 monsters are fairly standard. We don't run 2 copies of Foxy, we run 3 copies of Foxy. I actually really do value this card. Not only can it dig potentially 4 other Salamangreat cards from the deck to the hand, more importantly, it can summon itself from the graveyard to the side of the field by putting Salamangreat monsters to the graveyard or Salamangreat cards to the graveyard. Really easy to gain their graveyard effects or for them to come back into your hand and then destroy a face-up card or face-up spell or trap card on the field. This card is actually ridiculously good, and a lot of people sleep on it. Not only is it a card that digs into your deck, it is an extender. Then there's 3 copies of Salamangreat Spinny. All 6 of these cards are perfect targets for Flame Buffalo, as not only do you get to draw 2, you get to search a Salamangreat Sanctuary, you also get extenders in your graveyard to continue on with your combo. Spinny is extremely good because it's just a free level 3 monster to your side of the field. The attack buff actually can come up. It doesn't come up often, but it can come up. Salamangreat Gazelle is the best Salamangreat monster in the deck. It's a reason why it's limited to 1, as anytime a Salamangreat monster is sent to the graveyard, this card can summon itself to the side of the field. And a fun fact for you beginners, this card doesn't necessarily have to be in your hand when the Salamangreat card goes to the graveyard. I'll show you in a little bit of a combo, but if you activate a card like Signet Mining, you can still special summon Gazelle even if it isn't initially in hand. But again, I'll show you in the combo sequence. Now that's it for the level 3 Salamangreats. For the level 4 Salamangreats, you're actually going to notice something that is different from the other Salamangreat builds. 1 copy of Falco, 1 copy of Foul, and 1 copy of Jaguar. So A lot of builds play 2 copies of Salamangreat Jag-Jaguar, and I want to reiterate why players play 2 copies of Jag-Jaguar. When you activate Pot of Desires, the one card that you don't want to banish is Salamangreat Jag-Jaguar. It is an important card as it allows you to shuffle cards back into your deck for later use. Pot of Desires is now limited. We went from a 34% chance of opening Pot of Desires and needing to risk it for the biscuit, playing multiple copies of Jag-Jaguar so we don't have to lose it, to only 1 copy of Pot of Desires, which equates to 11% of the time we'll open it. I think when you open Pot of Desires at 11% of the time, you definitely can make that big risk if you are playing it, and then play from there. Regardless, Jag-Jaguar is still an amazing addition to the deck, and Salamangreat Foul I think is a card that a lot of players sleep on. Not only is it an extender, it can actually prevent your opponent from using back row, gets rid of Salamangreat cards, which isn't that much of a problem for this deck since it's so easy at recurring. And then Salamangreat Foul, Salamangreat Foul code, this card is bananas, being able to set a Salamangreat spell or trap card back to your side of the field. And then the cool combo with this is that if you already have Foul in your hand, you bounce Foul, special summon Falco, then you special summon Foul, you get a free rank 4. But that is it for the monsters and the Salamangreat cards, which makes up the deck. For the spell cards, 2 copies of Salamangreat Circle. I love that this card is at 2. It actually brings much needed consistency to the deck and makes up for our loss of Pot of Desires. Our other search card is still 3 copies of Signet Mining. In my Master Duel profile, I actually don't play Signet Mining, and the reason is because we have 3 Desires and 3 Circles. I don't really need this card, but in this particular build, this card is more of a combo piece than a search piece. Discarding a Salamangreat Spinny from your graveyard is actually full combo with Signet Mining. That's really cool, and being able to search the cards that we need from our deck to our hand is pretty important. Moving forward from the search cards, our power card is Will of the Salamangreat. This card is phenomenal at being able to extend and as a soul charge, being able to summon multiple Salamangreat monsters from our graveyard to our side of the field, and of course that 1 copy of Salamangreat Sanctuary. Now, I don't play Pot of Desires in this particular build because I wanted to keep it 40 cards. I don't think that Desires is a bad card, but the fact that we shouldn't be deck building around Pot of Desires if there's only 11% chance you'll open it, and that's the biggest time you'll ever be able to open a card like that, I felt that it was almost unnecessary. I'd rather play other cards to help me establish other things, like cracking my opponent's board, special summoning monsters, more often than not cracking my opponent's board. There's 2 copies of Salamangreat Roar and Rage here. These cards are phenomenal in here, and you only need 1 of each copy unless you reset Roar through its effect. This is the reason why I feel so confident with Salamangreat, because you can negate your opponent's most important card and you can destroy multiple cards on your opponent's side of the field. It doesn't matter if they're set. More importantly, Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf will cycle these back to your hand, which is phenomenal for this strategy. Now, I was talking about beating some of the top meta decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! And the only thing that I can think of was dealing with artifact scythe boards and Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, the Wandering Token Engine, just all these crazy things. I started to try to play a trap-based Salamangreat build, but that doesn't work. If you get Scythe, then a lot of your trap cards are useless. Solemn Strike doesn't do much for you. They already established a board. So then I started to research into Salamangreat, and I started to figure out what the meta is. Basically, for the people that don't know, Salamangreat was originally like a deck that just kind of played an engine and then a million hand traps. I'm going right back to that. I'm going to be playing 3 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being. This card isn't as useful anymore. Reason being is that if your opponent does start off with their Wandering Brave engine, then they can, make a negation before their 5th summon, which makes Nibiru useless. But what I have noticed is that you can infinite impermanence the Wandering monster, and your Nibiru will resolve, being able to tribute over everything in the field. So the biggest thing about this is that I wanted to open at least 2 hand traps, because it seems that if you open at least 2 hand traps in your opening sequence, you can stop some of the top meta decks. So from there, I chose Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Not only is this card back to being fairly good because it does stop the Adventurer Token Engine from them searching, it also has some couple of other great interactions and can be added from your graveyard to your hand through the effect of your Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, These cards you're gonna look at me crazy for, but 2 copies of Droll and Lockbird in the main deck. This card is actually good against Phantom Knight. When they start to go into their Brave token engine, you can Droll and Lock them, and yes, they'll be able to search their Wandering Griffin and go all through that, but they won't be able to search, use the effect of Boots or Cloak, meaning they won't be able to extend and search more cards from their deck to their hand. So yeah, this card is actually fairly good against them, and it's fairly good against a lot of other strategies in the game. And then my super secret tech, I actually wanted to run Emergency Teleport because I thought of some cool combos with it, but not for this particular deck, is Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Boy, this card is actually really good again. This card actually has way more applications than what people give it credit. This card not only stops the Journey of Destiny spell card that allows them to search their adventurer tokens from the deck to the hand, it also stops Virtual World Gate Q-Che, which is really problematic for a lot of strategies. It's fairly good against Sword Soul. It actually hits Flu Under Reese. There are so many strategies that Ghost Ogre actually can be used on, and it's incredible. On top of that, this card can be Emergency Teleport, which is at 3 to your side of the field to be able to use its on-field effect, which is the same as his Hand Trap effect. The last card is Call by the Grave. I felt that this card was way too good to not play, especially because of Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer. And these are my 14 reasons why Salamangreat can be such a good deck. Not only does it have its own separate engine, you can of course use your hand traps to your advantage, being able to slow down your opponent, keeping tempo of the game until you can make that Access Code Talker or Trans Code Talker OTK. But that is it for the main board. Really happy that cards like Nibiru and Infinite Impermanence got reprints, making them about $10 each. But moving on to the extra deck, I play one copy of Access Code Talker. Now, if you guys can't afford this, then I would recommend Boral Load Dragon, not Boral Sword Dragon, because this deck can still go for game without Access Code. But Boral Load allows you to handle problematic threats. I play 2 copies of Salamangreat Heat Leo. To be honest with you, I kind of want to drop this. This card is phenomenal, actually. It does check back row and it reduces the attack of an opponent's monster, but I think Link Karibo is also a really good card in this meta. And for the people that want to play Salamangreat Pyro Phoenix, I don't think that it is a terrible Yu-Gi-Oh card, but unfortunately it requires so many resources for you to make, it doesn't ever really work out as much. 1 copy of Trans Code Talker, and of course 3 copies of Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, 1 copy of Splash Mage, 1 copy of Update Jammer, 3 copies of Salamangreat Balinks, 1 copy of Mirage Stallion, and that's pretty standard for the Salamangreat strategy, but the cards that I really want to talk about is 1 copy of Baguska and 1 copy of Abyss Dweller. Now, I genuinely thought about running Parallel Exceed inside of this deck, because being able to make a Baguska or a Dweller on your opening sequence, if you're going against Phantom Knight, make the Abyss Dweller, it's really good. But the problem with that is that Parallel Exceed is a win more card. When things are going good, Exceed is a good card, but when things aren't going so great, Exceed doesn't necessarily help you get back into the game. It's a win monster, so it doesn't help you with your Salamangreat plays. And yeah, you don't need to make these every single game if you're playing the deck correctly. So before I get into the combos, I just want to say, if you were wondering what kind of sleeves these were, these are the new Raven Wing sleeves by yours truly. You can go ahead and pick up your Raven Wing sleeves on TheCaliEffect.com, as well as some other amazing things like merchandise and mats. But now we're going to be talking about let's talk about some combos. Since Salamangreat Circle is at 2, I want to show you a really cool thing with Salamangreat Circle and Signet Mining. This is actually a combo that can result in so many other different things. We're going to start off by activating Salamangreat Circle, using it to be able to search Salamangreat Spinning. And then we'll activate Signet Mining, discarding the Salamangreat Spinning to be able to add Salamangreat Gazelle from your deck to your hand. Now, Salamangreat Gazelle does not need to initially be in your hand. For Signet Mining to discard a Salamangreat monster, you can still special summon it to your side of the field. And then we're going to use the effect of Salamangreat Gazelle here. We'll send a Salamangreat Roar from our decks to the graveyard. From here, since I do control a Salamangreat monster, I will special summon Salamangreat Spinny, and then I'll use both of these monsters for an Exceed summon into our Salamangreat Mirage Stallion. Use Salamangreat Mirage Stallion, detaching the Salamangreat Gazelle to be able to special summon from your deck to the side of the field Salamangreat Jack Jaguar. From here, you can link off Salamangreat Jack Jaguar. We will link summon into our Salamangreat Balinks, using the effect of Salamangreat Balinks to be able to add from our graveyard to our hand Salamangreat Sanctuary. And then we'll link off Balinks and Salamangreat Mirage Stallion into our Salamangreat, into a Salamangreat spell card, my apologies. We'll link it off into our Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, and then activate Salamangreat Sanctuary on Sunlight Wolf. Now you can link off your Sunlight Wolf into another Sunlight Wolf and then activate the effect of Salamangreat Jag-Jaguar, returning your Sunlight Wolf into your Salamangreat Jag-Jaguar. Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf's effect will trigger, that will add the Gazelle, and then you can use the other effect to add Salamangreat Roar. So with 2 cards, meaning that you'll have 3 other cards in your hand, let's just go ahead and say they were some miraculous hand traps. How will your opponent be able to beat this? You are able to set up a full combo. You can even use this on your end sequence for a link. And this is where I wanted to play Link Kribo, because if evenly matched is really big into this game, you can pretty much stop your opponent from evenly matching you without, trying to deal with the Balinks. But in this particular situation with a 2-card combo, you got the 1 disruption through your Salamangreat Roar, you got your Balinks, you got your Sunlight Wolf, but more importantly, you have a continuous resource of cards in your graveyard to be able to go for the OTK. Now, I'm pretty sure you're wondering, what exactly is the OTK, Cali? I don't necessarily understand. Well, the OTK is fairly simple. Let's say this board gets cracked, because we'll go ahead and crack the board. The only thing we would need from here to OTK our opponent is 3 monsters. It is an OTK. And by 3 monsters, this is literally the OTK we have, because we have the Gazelle right here, we have the Jag-Jaguar, we have the Spinny. So I'm just going to go ahead and waltz over. We're going to say we used all of this. Normal summon Jag-Jaguar, or I'm sorry, Gazelle. Why do I call it Jag-Jaguar? And I mean, it really does not matter what we send from the deck to the graveyard. I'll go ahead and send a Salamangreat Foxy just to prove my point. We'll normal summon Salamangreat Gazelle to our side of the field, and then since we control a Salamangreat monster, we can special summon Spinny. We'll use our Spinny for another link summon into Salamangreat Balinks, and Spinny will be banished. And then we'll activate the effect of our Jag-Jaguar, shuffling in our Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf to summon Jag-Jaguar back to our side of the field. We'll use both Gazelle and Jag-Jaguar for a link. We'll link those 2 monsters off into Update Jammer. And then we'll link the Balinks and the Update Jammer into a Transcode Talker. Now, right here, if you can't afford Access Code Talker and your opponent's board is wide open, use the effect of Update Jammer to turn your Transcode Talker, or to allow your Transcode Talker to attack twice, and then use your Transcode Talker to be able to special summon your Update Jammer. This way, your Transcode Talker is 2,800, your Update Jammer is 2,500, and you're allowed to attack twice. That is 8,100 damage. But if you can't afford Access Code Talker, you can take it a step further using your Update Jammer and your Transcode Talker for another link into your Access Code Talker. This allows you to banish 3 or destroy 3 cards on your side of the field, because I have a wind, I have a fire, and I have an earth, and attack with Access Code Talker, which can inflict 10,600 damage on the field because it can attack twice, and it's 5,300 attack. I targeted the Transcode Talker with Access Code Talker effect, and make sure you use Update Jammer. Now, how exactly will we be able to make that Access Code Talker with just 1 card in Lady Debug? That can be fairly explained easily, as we can normal summon Lady Debug using its effect to add Salamangreat Gazelle, and then you'll link off the Salamangreat Gazelle into Salamangreat Balinks. Balinks' effect will trigger, guys. That will allow us to add a Salamangreat Sanctuary, and what we need to do is send a Salamangreat monster to the graveyard. We'll link off the Balinks due to Salamangreat Sanctuary into another Balinks, and that will of course trigger our Gazelle. Gazelle will summon itself to the side of the field using its effect, and then we'll special summon the Salamangreat Spinny to the side of the field. You guys should already know here, using both of these monsters for a link summon into Update Jammer, then link them again into our Transcode Talker, and then link them again into our Access Code Talker. So you're probably wondering, why exactly do I play Splash Mage? That's actually a good idea. Splash Mage doesn't seem like a good card, is it? Well, I mean, it kind of makes Salamangreat Foxy a one-man show. The only thing you need is any Salamangreat card in your hand. So I'm going to go ahead and use Salamangreat Rage for this particular thing, because if you have Salamangreat Spinny, it is still an OTK. If you have any of those Salamangreat monsters for that matter, it is still an OTK. So let's not do that. Let's use these 2 monsters, or these 2 cards. I'm going to normal summon Salamangreat Foxy, not using its effect. And then I'm going to go ahead and link it off into, a Balinks, using Balinks to get our Salamangreat Sanctuary. I'll then activate the effect of Salamangreat Foxy, discarding Rage from our hand to the graveyard, summoning itself, and then if you wanted to, you could destroy a face-up spell or trap card. From here, we'll use both the Salamangreat Balinks and the Foxy into our Splash Mage, and you can kind of see what's happening here. Splash Mage will go ahead and special summon Salamangreat Foxy, and now these 2 monsters will be used for a link again into Transcode to special summon Splash Mage, and then again into our access code Talker. Now, you still have 3 monsters to be able to destroy on your opponent's side of the field. I have a water, a fire, and an earth. The only difference is access code Talker cannot attack twice, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. The one thing that I actually really like about Salamangreat is even when you think your hand isn't the most optimal, there are still combos to be made. In this particular combo, I'm going to be telling you why I love Signet Mining so much and why I strongly debate on playing 3 copies of Will of the Salamangreat every single day. It's so good because even if you do get an Imperial, you can still special summon and potentially keep going. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and activate Signet Mining on Will of the Salamangreat and add Salamangreat Gazelle. Since I didn't send a monster, I can't special summon Gazelle. We'll normal summon it to our side of the field, sending Spinny from our decks to the graveyard. Because we control a Salamangreat monster, we can special summon Spinny, and unfortunately, we cannot exceed summon into Mirage Stellar. I mean, we could, but that's not what we're going to do here. I'm going to go ahead and link off the Salamangreat Gazelle into a Salamangreat Balinx, and now Balinx will use its effect to be able to add a Salamangreat Sanctuary from my deck to my hand. So let me go ahead and activate it right here, and then from here I'll go ahead and link off both my Salamangreat Spinny. This is in the graveyard. What am I doing here? I'll link off my Salamangreat Spinny and my Salamangreat Gazelle into Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf. I'll then turn my first Sunlight Wolf into my second Sunlight Wolf, and here we have it. Since I can add a spell or trap card from my graveyard to my hand, I'll use it to add Will of the Salamangreat, activating Will of the Salamangreat to special summon Salamangreat Gazelle. Now, there is a couple of things that you can do here. If you're in your opening turn, you can turn this into a Balinx and then add this back to your hand. But let's say we're going second. Let's say we want to do something different. You can use Will of the Salamangreat to special summon Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf to your side of the field, and then use both of these monsters for another link summon into access code Talker. Now this time around, you only get 1 destruction with access code Talker as you have 3 fire monsters, but I mean, that shows you how a 2-card combo could get you an access code Talker to your side of the field. That would be 4,300 and can destroy cards on your opponent's side of the field with the least optimal hand. But to add on to that combo, I'm going to go Signet Mining, Will, and Salamangreat Roar here. I'm going to show you another really dope combo for this deck. I'm going to start off by using Signet Mining, discarding the Salamangreat Roar to be able to add Salamangreat Gazelle from our decks to our hand. We'll then go ahead and normal summon Salamangreat Gazelle, using its effect to be able to send from the deck to the graveyard. Where is that card? A Salamangreat Foxy. From here, I'll go ahead and link off the Salamangreat Gazelle. I'll link into Salamangreat Balinx, using Balinx's effect to be able to add Salamangreat Sanctuary. Now here you're probably thinking, after I activate Sanctuary, I just will use Will to bring back Foxy. No, you actually use Foxy's effect, discarding the Will to summon the Foxy back to your side of the field, and then you link summon with both of those monsters into a Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf. Second summon your Sunlight Wolf by using Sunlight Wolf to your side of the field, and then use Sunlight Wolf's effect to add Will of the and then use the effect of Salamangreat Roar, set it back to your side of the field. Use the effect of Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf to add Will of the Salamangreat, and look what we have here. You can use Will of the Salamangreat to special summon 2 monsters to your side of the field by sending it to the graveyard, and then you have a lot of options. Let's say if you were going for the OTK, well, you can then use these 2 monsters for your Salamangreat or your update jammer, using the effect of Sunlight Wolf to add your Gazelle, then make your transcode Talker, then your access code Talker on top of it. Exact same way. But let's say we don't want to use our Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, but we want to break our opponent's board. Well, these 2 monsters will be used for a link into Splash Mage, another reason why Splash Mage's good, adding Gazelle to your hand, then summoning the Salamangreat Foxy, going into your transcode Talker, and then summoning again into your access code Talker. And that's pretty much how you can play Salamangreat extremely well, and why I think that this deck could be a potential meta sleeper. Thank you so much for watching, because one thing I really do like talking about is how Salamangreat this deck is. If you want to see more amazing content, go ahead and check out these videos, as I'll catch you on the next one.